WTF is an ETF and why should you invest in them? Well, you've probably all seen a chart like this at some point in your life where some guy was like, look, the American market has done over 11% for the last 80 years. Or the Canadian market has done 9.8% over the last 80 years. And the bond market has done over 6% for the last 80 years. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, who cares? I'm not getting returns for like that. I would do anything to get returns like that. I'd basically punch a kitten in the face to get returns like that. Well, let me tell you, never punch a kitten in the face. But how come you're not getting returns like that? Well, that's because you're investing in mutual funds or with a stockbroker who's now called a portfolio manager that is saying, you know what, I'm going to pick which stocks you want to buy, and I'm so smart that I can actually predict the future. So I'm going to pick your stocks for you, and you're going to pay me somewhere in between 1.8 and 3% to do this. And you're like, great. Well, guess what? It turns out that almost every single one of these guys doesn't know how to predict the future, which is absolutely crazy. Who would have thought that? So they're losing to the market almost 90% of the time. So what can you do? How do you invest just in the market? Well, you can't quite do that, but that's where an ETF comes in. So if you buy an ETF, what its job is to do is to track a specific index. So in this case, I'm just going to talk about the S&P 500, which is the index that has 500 large American companies, and that's showing what those 500 companies are doing. So if you bought $100 worth of an American S&P 500 index fund, and let's say Apple made up 3% of the market and Walmart made up 1% of the market, you would own $3 worth of Apple and $1 worth of Walmart. And when they change, the ETF will just change with them. It's not doing anything in particular special, and for that it's charging about 0.1%. So it's a little bit off of what the exact market is doing, but it's way less than that 2.5% you're probably paying for the mutual fund that says it's doing the exact same thing. Now you can understand why banks and financial advisors aren't running around showing you these things, because how are they supposed to make money? So you say, well, okay, I'm going to sell you this ETF with a fee of 0.1% or this mutual fund with a fee of 2.5%. Well, on $100,000, that's $2,500 going to the bank compared to $100 every year. Of course they're not selling these things to you. So how do you invest in these if you want? Well, there's one of three ways. First thing you can do is you can say, okay, I want to open up my own account and I'm going to manage it myself. And that will be almost free. And this is actually really easy to do. And you can read some blogs on the internet that will tell you how to do it and take a little bit of time. And if you're a hands-on type of person, do that. You'll get good returns. If you're not that type of hands-on type of person, but you like this idea of investing and don't want any advice, then go and work with a company like Wealthsimple or another robo-advisor and just buy them, and they'll manage your portfolio for you for a small fee. So they're charging about 0.5% on top of what the ETFs are charging. Not bad. And then third, your option is, oh, I don't really understand this stuff. I like Kent, he's saying these things. I think he actually knows what he's talking about, which is weird. And on top of that, so I'll say go invest there, but I'm going to give you financial advice, make sense of all this garbage for you. I'm going to give you a plan for the future, and you can come to me with all your questions, and then on top of that they're charging, I'm going to get a commission of 0.6% on your portfolio. So if you have $100,000, I'm going to make $600 a year. And I'm going to tell you to invest with them if it makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't. So you just come to me, I'll give you advice, and that's how I think you should invest your money. There's one of three ways. It's simple, save some fees, get some better returns. Thanks.